YouTube ads are a double-edged sword. We always see the stories of people making a lot of money, having a lot of success and advertising a lot on YouTube. But if you've ever tried to run ads yourself there, you realize it is a completely different beast and you need a very unique strategy in order to have success there. So I invited Aleric to join me and have a conversation about how to have success with YouTube ads. His company, Ad Outreach, is doing over $1 million a month, all from YouTube ads and all teaching people how to use YouTube ads. He has an amazing system and framework that he's going to teach to you in this very conversation for how you can start to have success with YouTube ads for your business. This was a great conversation. You don't want to miss it. Let's get into it. All right, so we are here with Aleric. He is a YouTube ads coach and trainer. He runs Ad Outreach, and he's got a lot of very exciting stuff going on. He's grown his business to almost $1 million per month. Correct me if I'm wrong. Aleric, why don't you tell the people a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Ryan. So I'm so excited to be on here. So I essentially help all kinds of different businesses. We really work with a lot of kind of coaches, consultants, course creators, people in the online education and e-commerce space. People who are selling online, use YouTube ads, get consistent leads, sales, people coming through their funnel. And really, I've actually been on YouTube for over a decade now, which is pretty crazy to think about. I started out when I was much younger, and I created a YouTube channel, really scaled that up, and then kind of took the leap over to the YouTube ad side of things over the last 5-6 years. And so I can get more into that. I can talk more about the business, but that's just a little bit of background on me. Been on YouTube for a while now, helping obviously with YouTube ads, scaling up, and we're on track this month for our first $1 million month. So really excited.
And so your initial offer, was it kind of like a traditional webinar into training product?
So originally what I had was more of an agency, and then okay. I went and pivoted over to having a done with you process. So kind of a done together process that I know you're familiar with, but if anybody is watching who isn't, really the way that it works is most people fall into one of two camps. They're either, a course, right, where it's kind of one size fits all, it's all the trainings, and there's a place for that, but the problem is it's not hands-on. There's not, really any help individually for your market, for your niche. And then on the other side, you have agencies, and agencies are great when you get the top 5% or 10% of agencies. But the problem is, it's hard to know which agencies are good. And when you get an agency, you're just renting the knowledge. You're, paying them every month to do it for you, as opposed to learning to fish yourself. That's like paying for the fish versus, getting the fishing rod, learning how to cast, having somebody show you how that works. And so we're right in the middle where we're a done with you training program where we help hands-on, but we have all the trainings. We're actually going in, we've got copywriters to help write the scripts, people helping with the video ads, getting the right targeting, optimizing, scaling. So it's really just this hybrid hands-on process that, we're holding our client's hand throughout the whole process. And at the end, they have all the tools to be able to continue to run and scale their ads themselves. Or, obviously it doesn't have to be the entrepreneur that goes through it. It could be, the marketing director, the marketing team, that enrolls and goes through this as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful business model. I think it's one that's going to really start to take off over the next decade. I think that, especially, I'm in the SEO space where SEO has become heavily commoditized. And a lot of the times too, when it's in ads as well, right? I mean, whenever you're doing everything for a client, it's weird how human psychology works. If you're running all the ads for clients, they have a number in mind that you have to hit. And if you don't hit that number, they're never going to be happy, right? But when you're working with them and you're helping them bring that equity or IP internally, it's a different working relationship, number one. It's a different success rate, number two. It's a genuinely healthier, I think, relationship between both parties. And I also think that a lot of as the world moves more digital, you have to have marketing in-house. You have to do something in-house. If you rely completely on agencies, you're screwed. And especially in advertising, if you're on a percentage of ad spend, you could be paying an ad agency $1 million a month just to run your ads, which is crazy, crazy when you think about it. So how did you arrive at the done with you model? Was it because you were running your agency and you were like, this is too much friction for me to scale, there has to be a better way? Or was it just kind of you had the training, you had the agency, and then you were like, let me find a happy medium? How did you arrive at that business model?
Yeah, so the way that I arrived at that is I really wanted to find something that was going to work best for clients and best for us and be just a massive win-win. because what I saw was clients coming in and we would get their ads set up. We would get them up and running. They would get absolutely fantastic results and they would get great results. But then one of two things would happen. Either they would be like, this is really incredible. But what we want to do is like, we don't want to just, like pay forever for the rates that we were charging, because I had to charge premium rates because we literally had people banging on our door to like get us to be clients. I could only work with so many people and our team could only work with so many people. And so what was happening is people were saying, hey, like, could we either get a reduced rate? But then the problem is if I did that, then that would be cutting myself and my team short because we have other people that were banging on the door to come in initially. Or they would say, well, maybe some people were actually asking to learn. And so that's kind of where the idea came from. But then some people were going and they were, taking this and they were trying to run it themselves and they were kind of like just not making it work. And I remember, some people were consolidating. They're like, okay, this is great. Now I'm going to go take my other agency that does, Facebook ads, but they also say they do YouTube, and then they just run the campaigns into the ground. And I'm like, this is not a great experience because, at that point I couldn't lower my prices because there was so much demand, right? That it wouldn't make sense for me to do that. But I also, understood where the clients were coming from, that they didn't just want to rent the knowledge at a high price forever, right? And that's one of the problems with an agency is you have a really good agency, they can charge and they should charge high prices because they're working, they're literally doing all of that work. But the problem is the business owner shouldn't have to decide between essentially renting out and paying these really high prices forever, right? And going with, another like either bad agency or trying to take it over themselves, but not learning it. So they just run it into the ground. That's a bad choice. And so what I found is there's a middle ground where if we actually work hands-on with our clients and have it be a one-time investment for us to help them set it up, to walk them through the process, to do a lot of the stuff that we were doing anyways. I mean, basically the majority of the onboarding, getting on copywriting calls with our clients, helping them set up their targeting, their ads. It's a lot of the same stuff that we were doing back when we were in an agency, but we're also simultaneously training them or their marketing team, right? Or their marketing director or media buyer. And now we actually have relationships of companies don't have media buyers. We actually know top recruiter that can, get them a media buyer so they can go through the program. And so really what we're doing is we're training them how to fish so that then they get the best experience and the best results because they're making a one-time investment to learn YouTube ads, to implement it. Obviously, we have a back-end program if we want to continue to get our support. And obviously, we have other things like omnipresent retargeting. But for the YouTube ads itself, it's that initial investment that they can make to actually not only have it implemented, but learn how to do it and then have that runway that they can keep scaling and growing. An incredible experience for the clients because they're investing. And at the end of the day, they know how to do it. So they're going to be able to continue to repeat those results they get, right? They don't have to just rent the knowledge. Now they have the knowledge. It's an investment. And then for us, there's also a benefit. And this is why I say it's a massive win-win because this allows us to, be able to serve more clients, expand our business, grow and hit our, milestones. And so it is a massive win-win. The clients get a better experience because they learn how it works. They're set up for success long-term from one investment. And then we, because we can serve more people, are able to help more and more clients scale our business without being kind of capped by having, clients that were doing all the work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. So after going through TNF, actually, I have a training program, the Blueprint Training. It's always been like a traditional kind of like SEO training for SEO agencies, very process focused, did very well, over $1 million in revenue, which was great. But, seeing a lot of folks like yourself and some other people that came through the program doing so much money, I had to buy in to figure out what it was. And it was really like the core of what it is really understanding how, well, it's a lot of things that they teach, but I think the done with you service model is something that they're really pioneering. It's helped us grow tremendously at the Blueprint, but also taking this knowledge and rolling it out into our done for you agency, Weber's, which is an SEO agency, and really understanding too, like, at the end of the day, it's about doing what's best for the customer, right? And the client. And like a lot of the times doing everything for them is not what's best for them, right? Just period. So we've done like a gap analysis essentially with our kind of target avatar and really understood like what are the things that they should have in house and what are the one-time actions that we as an agency should be doing. So like a technical audit is a one-time thing. We'll handle that. You don't really need that IP in house. Keyword research, that's a one-time thing. You don't really need that equity in house. When it comes to SEO, not necessarily bad buying, media buying. But then things like content creation, that's something that you should own because content is incredibly important. All aspects of the game, whether it's SEO, advertising, creative is really the medium, which I want to dig into a little bit later with because I love your creative, and we'll talk more about that later. But these are the types of things that a company should really own internally. And if you want to really help them get to where they want to be, another big learning from traffic and funnel, which is simplicity. Like, where are they now? How do we get to where they want to be? And what are the things that we need to do? We don't have to do them all. And sometimes we can't, right? There's certain things that we can only influence as an outside party that just don't make sense. So speaking of which, I do want to talk a little bit, transition a little bit into kind of your ad strategy, something that I love and actually really respect about your ads for someone doing as much as you are is the fact that you haven't necessarily sold out in a sense, right? We're not going to find you sitting on top of a Lamborghini. We're not going to find you, walking down a beach with a cell phone in hand. Your creative is very simple. It's very to the point. It's you in an office, presenting a webinar, just being yourself. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I mean, I feel like, especially on YouTube, it's an easy trap to fall into as it gets much more direct response. It gets much more filled with info marketers and coaches and course creators. Not that there's anything wrong with it. We're both in that industry, but it's a very slippery slope, right? When it comes to getting people's attention with media, especially YouTube, where there's no copy, it's just video, right? Can you talk a little bit about like your creative process and how you approach that and how you maintain ethics while still having tremendous success in doing so?
Yeah, I really love that question because that's something that I really resonate with is, I want to, really put first what we're doing and what we're helping with people, which is, the YouTube ads with getting more leads, being able to learn how this works. And so instead of just being, flashy or saying, oh, look at these fancy things. And I don't even really have, many of these things like with fancy cars and stuff like that. Like, it's one of those things where I want to just illustrate that like what I'm helping you with is the most important and really focusing on that substance. Because the people that are actually looking to implement that, or the people that I want to resonate with my ad, are the types of business owners that are actually looking, for that knowledge and for that information. And I call that, the learner's mindset. I'm looking to reach somebody who's actually looking to learn, not just see, oh wow, that's a fancy car. Or we've had people in the past where they have an ad and they pull up in a car and they've got flamethrowers and they got all kinds of different people and they're showcasing, the lifestyle. And I'm not saying that's necessarily bad, but the people that you attract with an ad like that is not necessarily, the higher tier business owners that are looking for YouTube ads or are looking for SEO. And so when you're running ads, when I'm running ads, what we want to do is we want to appeal to the people that are like us, the people that are business owners that actually want to learn how this works. And even if I know people like different things, right? When I hit a milestone, I did get myself, a nice watch. I know other people get different cars and stuff. So it's not to say, right? Obviously, if you're able to afford that, live that lifestyle that you want to live. But I don't think that's the best thing to put in front of your marketing. I think the best thing for your marketing is really to lead with the value that you're providing. And so I'm a huge believer in that. When I get on a video ad, I want to show people, here's the value. Let me show you exactly how this works. Let me hop over to my computer screen, right? It's like one of the things that I dive into. I have a hook. We can talk about this, right? But a hook that pulls people in, gets them interested, right? So, whether it's, one of them is, what if you could ethically hijack your competitor's traffic and send it directly into your own funnel? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can do that using YouTube video ads. Let's hop over to my computer screen. I'm going to show you exactly how this works. If you're watching that and you're interested, right, in YouTube ads, or, you have a funnel and you hear me say some of these keywords like, hijack traffic, send it into your funnel, you're interested, you're going to watch that video. Another one is, YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why that is. Let's hop over to my computer screen. It's very to the point. It's actually what I'm going to be showing them, what I'm going to provide them. And so it puts people into a mindset that is, wait a second, I'm going to learn how these YouTube ads work. You can do the exact same thing with your SEO, and that's what we train our clients as well. We do have some clients that take the flashy approach, but almost every time going with the approach of actually leading with education and leading with value and teaching people something on the ad works the best. And that's one of the biggest things, I've obviously seen and heard about like different people talk about different types of ads and stuff like that. That's one thing that's unique that we really focus on with our clients is how can you lead with value on your ad itself? And I think that works really well.
Yeah, I love that. Another thing that I've noticed too is that you don't really run a ton of different pieces of creative, right? I know you've got your system for ads, you've got remarketing, you've got, I've seen a bunch of your training too. It's really good. You've got like your testimonial supercuts, you just different levels of remarketing, but you're really only running like one or two different pieces of creative at a time, right? I mean, first of all, how do you kind of come up with creative topics? Is that something that you coach with folks? I feel like that's the biggest roadblock, especially with people who don't know how to use video, right? Yeah. How do you teach that to people? How do you instill that to people? Because creative is the variable, right? Especially as these platforms get better. I mean, YouTube targeting has come a long way since the time that you started till where it is now. It's like night and day with how good it's gotten and will only get better. Facebook, obviously, too. We literally don't even target people on Facebook anymore once your pixel is trained, So creative is really the variable, right? How do you teach that? How do you coach that? And again, like how do you let people know that simplicity is key, right? Like how do you help people communicate their message, especially if they're really not used to doing video?
Yeah. So on our team, so I'll say what we do with our clients, but then I'll also give some examples of what people watching and listening can do right now. So with our clients, we actually have in-house copywriters on our team that work with our clients, on a call with them. This goes back to the done with you process, right? Instead of just having our clients try and go and write the ad themselves and they don't know what to say, they don't know how to package it, they haven't, this would be their first YouTube ad that they're scripting. But also not just having our copywriters do it because they know how to write a YouTube ad that converts. They've done thousands of them, but they don't know that particular client's business. So what we do is we get our client and our copywriter on the same call to actually write that script together. So they actually go in and they find those hooks, educate, write what's going to be, within the meat of the video and then the call to action. So actually writing out the ad script together. We found that that's, really the way that we can make sure that our clients see the best success when they launch their ads. But the thing that everybody here, obviously, can take away from this as well. So that's how we do it with our clients. But the thing that everybody can take away from this is, I recommend testing multiple different hooks. And there are three main categories that I recommend doing that we have found works the best. The curiosity hook, and I already said it, but I'll give it again. So what if you could ethically hijack your competitor's traffic and send it directly into your own funnel? In this video, I'm going to show you how you can do that using YouTube video ads. And then obviously you get into the rest of it. So like, let me show you, and then you educate and then you have a call to action. But the hook, that's the first hook. That's a curiosity hook, right? What if you could? Type hook, right? And then you give the type of thing that you help people with, right? So yours could be along the lines of, what if you could rank #1 on Google for your top tier search terms? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can do that by, training your SEO with this, this, and this. Obviously, I don't know all the pillars of your offer, but that's the type of thing. That's a curiosity hook. What if you could? Then there is kind of the us versus them hook, right? This is one of the harder ones to get right because you really have to find the best. But when you do it, it works really well. This is our top producing one right now that you've probably seen most just because this is our highest performer that we just keep pumping ad spend into. All three of the ones that I'm going to reveal, though, are our top 3 ads. The curiosity was a big one that up until about a year ago was our top producing hook. Now this new one is, which is YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. Let's face it, Facebook ad costs are going through the roof. Well, YouTube remains a blue ocean. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how YouTube ads work and why they beat Facebook. And then I, hop over and I do the same educate section where I show them inside YouTube and give them some details about that. And so that is very much kind of a divisive us versus them, kind of a shock kind of hook. There's different ways that you can create a hook around that, but it just really captures attention with a bold statement at the beginning. And then the third one is a problem-based hook, right? So what the problem that they have. So an example of this one is Facebook ads are killing your business. Let's face it, lead costs are going through the roof. And even when you have a great ad, they're almost impossible to scale. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use YouTube video ads to get consistent leads and sales. And the same thing. Let's hop over to my computer screen. And so you can see how those are 3 very different hooks. You could create different variations for each of these. What I would encourage you to do is, what we encourage our clients to do is, 2 variations for each. That's 6 hooks. And the trick to this is you film the hook, you film all 6 variations of the hook all at once, and then you slot in an educate portion, and then you slot in a call to action. So it feels like you're filming 1.5 videos, but you end up with 6 different variations of your video, because what's the part that people watch before they can skip your ad? It's the hook. So people don't even know the rest of it's the same video. It's all about what that first part of the video is about. So you could do 6 different videos in the time it takes you to film 1.5.
Yeah, that's really good tips. I mean, I film a lot of video content, and like I've started to chunk them like that as well, just because, dude, it's really hard to do like a 4-minute pitch nonstop, like off the top of your head. It's really, really hard to do. And you've got a full formula, I think, that you shared publicly before. It's, if I'm not mistaken, hook, educate, call to action, something along those lines, right?
Yes, that's correct. So that's the hook section. Then the educate is where you're providing that value. And I really encourage to provide value in that educate section. I've had people say, well, what if I provide so much value that people aren't going to do it? If you could provide all the value that you have in like 2 or 3 minutes, then, I mean, that's not the case, but then you don't have all that much, value if it's only 2 to 3 minutes worth of value. So, what I would say is, even if you're providing some of those big aha moments in those 2 to 3 minutes, like one of the things we talk about, right, is how YouTube ads work, how you're paying if people are watching the ad versus skipping it, how you can actually target people, not just based on who they are, but also the videos they're watching, how you can hijack your traffic. And we actually give value on the ad, and we show an example of targeting an ad in front of another video on YouTube. And that really builds trust with people. So you actually give them some degree of education. You could either share your screen, you could have a whiteboard behind you, or you could be, kind of drawing and pointing at different illustrations. You could do a virtual whiteboard. You could also just be talking to the camera and have, some graphics pop up on screen. And that's the educate section. And then the call to action, this is really just making it very simple. Most people, the call to action is the easiest part to get, because we've all seen it before, right? So click the link right here on the screen. You're gonna go to a page that looks like this, and you'll be able to sign up for our webinar or our training, or buy whatever it is you want to sell.
And you remarket quite a bit. I know you've got a whole sequence for remarketing, but where do you see YouTube fitting in kind of the advertising funnel? Do you see it first touch point, top funnel clicks? Do you see it as direct conversions? How does it fit into your funnel in terms of advertising?
Absolutely. So YouTube is incredible top of funnel and bottom of funnel. It's also great middle of funnel as well. What I would say is YouTube is the absolute hands down best top of funnel platform in my opinion, but from what we've seen with us and all of our clients. We have so many clients, like, compared to Facebook, YouTube, top of funnel, bottom of funnel. I will say where Facebook edges a little bit is middle of funnel. Facebook's really good at taking all the people that click on a site and then getting them to do that initial conversion. So we are doing pretty well with Facebook middle of funnel. YouTube also works well middle of funnel as well. But for top of funnel, bottom of funnel, there's no comparison, because YouTube has 2 major elements. I'll talk about why it's the best top of funnel and bottom of funnel. Top of funnel, right, is all about intent. So what are people doing right now? On Facebook, people are just scrolling through. You might catch them at a great time, but you might also catch them while they're just browsing. And so they may sign up for your webinar, but are they actually going to show up? Are they actually going to watch it? Maybe they sign up for your VSL, but are they going to watch it right away, right? Versus on YouTube, or are they even interested in this type of thing right now? Versus on YouTube, when you have your ad appear in front of somebody, if they're looking up, how to get more leads, if they're looking up, SEO, how to do SEO, right? How to rank my website. If they're looking that up right now, and then you get your ad in front of them, or I get my ad in front of them, or whoever's listening to this, if you have your industry, people are watching videos on it right now, you put that ad in front of that video, you're reaching them at the perfect time. And there's no comparison for that. It takes the intent-based formula that Google search ads have, but it adds video to the equation. Because the problem with Google search ads is it's just a headline, right? Versus a video, you actually are able to have that hook, educate, and have a call to action that's more valuable than what they were going to watch already. Right? So they click a video to learn SEO, and then you pop up and you blow their mind with some, not only the hook that gets their attention, but then you give them a couple of golden nuggets, a bunch of value. And then you say, hey, not only that, but I'm going to give you a full hour-long free training, or, you know, a 20-minute VSL, or you want to call it VSL, but like training is going to cover everything. They're going to be like, wait a second, why am I watching a 5-minute video on YouTube? I've already gotten more value from Ryan, and you're saying that you have a 20-minute training that I can get for free, or an hour-long training I can get for free. Then they're going to go off and they're going to click that and they're going to sign up for that training. That's the thing that makes YouTube work so well. Top of funnel. Bottom of funnel, the thing that makes YouTube work really well is you're running video ads with audio on consistently to people. They're seeing your face, and they're hearing your voice like 24/7. Every time they go on YouTube, all of a sudden you pop up, and and you're basically having different types of ads. So call to actions to get them to take action, right? To go to the next step of your funnel, to book a call or whatever that is. You're having testimonials, so you might be showcasing some of the best client success stories or case studies. Then you also have maybe some value and content, some more content to kind of warm them up and show and prove the value that you have. And so by doing that, it's just so much more. Yes, you can get impressions on Facebook. It's so easy to scroll. YouTube forces you to watch those first 5 seconds. Then also, if they skip, depending on the ad format, you may not pay for up to 30 seconds of that ad. And so if somebody just skips the ad and they're not interested right now, the next time they watch it, they might be interested. They might watch more. So top of funnel, bottom of funnel, YouTube is hands down working the best between us and our clients. I would say the place that Facebook edges out a little bit is middle of funnel, taking all the people that have clicked, let's say, on the site to sign up and watch a webinar, but haven't watched it yet. Facebook's really good at those micro groups of people, and essentially getting a ton of impressions right off the bat when they're considering signing up. But for top of funnel, bringing people in initially with that intent, and bottom of funnel, getting people that have already watched the webinar, consumed content, to actually book a call or actually purchase, your products or services or programs. That's what we found works the best on YouTube.
So I've struggled with two things on YouTube that I want to kind of run by you. Number one is I guess false clicks in a sense. Like, for whatever reason, you get a lot of clicks that don't always register in analytics, which has always kind of been a little bit shady, or not shady in a sense, but just unsettling, I guess. The same thing happens on Twitter a lot too. That's why we stopped advertising on Twitter. So like, is the proper move then, I guess I'll probably answer my own question, but like, is that why it's always the best move to send someone to a squeeze page to get their email? I see this a lot. I very rarely see, like, I use Facebook a lot for nurturing, right? Facebook is really good for engagement, to push people to a blog post, push people to a video. Because Facebook's got all sorts of different tracking mechanisms, as you said, that you can just, you're never wasting impressions on Facebook, because you can always roll them back in somewhere in the funnel. With YouTube, is it best to just send someone to a squeeze page? And the other thing that I see a lot of people doing now too, especially in this space, is going straight direct marketing, running that 2-minute YouTube ad directly, and not even gating their VSL, but just running it to like a 10-minute VSL with a book, like a click to call, fly in my face, click to book a call now. I mean, do you recommend that people use that email mechanism capture? Because I saw you kind of agreeing with in terms of those, like, poor clicks, I guess, just due to the nature of the platform, right? Or do you recommend sending directly to a call booking? Like what is kind of the post-click experience, I guess, that you would recommend?
So I really recommend capturing lead data. And yes, that may be a little bit more expensive per call or per booking, but you're going to see the quality just go up dramatically, and your ability to optimize your campaigns, and you have a healthier funnel. Because if all you're doing is sending people to a page that has a video and then the ability to book a strategy call, if those people bounce and they're there, maybe they watch a bit of your training, but then they leave, you don't have their contact details. You don't have their name and their email and their phone number. You don't have anything about them so that you can then follow up later, whether with an email sequence or with specialists who will call and they'll dial all of your leads. If you have phone numbers, there's just so much more that you can do. You could have retargeting, but then you also don't know who are the people that are actually interested, the people that just clicked on the ad just because. So having that standard funnel format, there's a reason it's tried and true, and it's gated behind the content is, yes, maybe you're paying more per booked call, because obviously if you send direct, any additional step that you add in a funnel is going to increase the cost of that next step. However, it's also doing what a funnel does, which is narrowing down the best people as you get further and further down the funnel, right? And so if your funnel just goes from ad to that next, to booking a call, then it's not a lot of a funnel. And that can be good for some industries, especially if it's like very lead focused. All they really care about is having that phone call. But if you're, in high ticket or you're selling a program or coaching and you really want to make sure people consume the content, that you have their contact details, that they're high quality, so they're not taking up your advisor's time, just somebody who saw an ad, they clicked a button, they scheduled a call, and they get on the call, they're like, well, I'm not actually sure why I'm here. Yeah. You don't want to hear that. You want to have a funnel to get people that say, yeah, I watched your webinar. It was fantastic. That's so much value. Now I want to hear more about your program. So what we're doing is we've got 3 main funnels that we're running. And at a certain scale, I was actually just saying this on one of our inner circle, our client calls. At a certain scale, I recommend adding multiple funnels. Obviously, if you're just scaling, if somebody is listening to this or watching this and they're just scaling their first $100,000 a month, I would focus on one funnel. If that's not working, then maybe split test another one, or but instead of having multiple funnels. But once you get to a certain size, like us, pushing, and on track for our first $1 million month, we've got 3 main funnels. We've got our webinar funnel, which is our tried and true. That's still, our top performer because it's across on, YouTube ads to webinars just works so well. We've got a VSL and, so more of a short form training. And then we also now have a paid masterclass, which is incredible. This is like a 3-hour long. It covers our strategy, just leading with so much value. Teaching like, all right, here's how YouTube ads work. Here's the hook, educate, call to action. Here's what you'd want in your script. Here's, our targeting, our 3D targeting. Here's how that works. But then obviously at the end of that 3-hour training, we say, well, you have the roadmap and, obviously that's what you paid for. So you got all that. We have some bonuses that you get as well. But the next step is booking a strategy call so that you can actually talk with our team and have us help you implement it. Because obviously, as you know, you don't want to just have a course. You want to have somebody help you with it. And so that is also working really, really well for us too, is having that kind of $47, masterclass, a couple of like minor upsells and things that people can get. But basically, it's almost like a paid long form webinar with even more value, the most value we provide, unless they're a full client. So having that next step. And so we're running all 3 of those. And if they sign up for one, we'll actually pivot them and send them to the other, which also works really well.
That's really good insight. Yeah. I mean, I think kind of going back to your point about running direct to call bookings, like if you have a sales team and you're in touch with your sales team is not going to be happy about that. That's something that I'm in touch with my sales team all the time about, because we're running increasingly more and more call booking ads on Facebook, and they're working really well. But we're always trying to run those like mid and bottom funnel. We're testing more top cold funnel, and they're actually working. But my sales team is never happy when, like to the point where, like, to your point, like I'm willing to pay more for lead now, because otherwise we're in the process of hiring like, my lead of sales, I think, is calling like a warmer up call. Like he's hiring someone just to call the people ahead of time and be like, hey, just want to let you know, like you have a call with Alan coming up in 2 days. Like we have to now pay for that position because the leads are so shitty, which is not a position that you want to be in. So like, it's easy to fall into that trap where you're optimizing for the front end lead and not kind of the back end call, if you will, and the quality of that call, especially again, when you've got a lot of salespeople eating off those leads. They don't like no-shows. They don't like people that are like, who is this? Like it's a waste of time. And it's ultimately a waste of that leads money as well. I think the other like really big value point in the difference between YouTube and Facebook is that Facebook they're both pattern interrupts in a sense, but like somebody's already watching a video on YouTube, right? So like if you get them to go to a squeeze page that has a video on it, they're much more likely to watch and engage with that video, which to your point, we have a saying when I talk to our coaching clients, when we talk about webinars and VSLs, is that consumption is the most important part. Like you put together a 20, 30 minute training, like it's kind of like the timeshare model, right? Like they know that if they get you to sit there and watch that, listen to their pitch, they're probably going to buy a timeshare, right? It's the same thing there. Like the goal is not just to get an email, it's actually to get people to consume the content. And people are much less likely to do that on Facebook and Instagram because they're doing their thing on Facebook and Instagram. It's easier and cheaper to get emails, I think, off Facebook because they're just like, all right, cool, I'll watch this later. But YouTube, like the consumption element of it, which then drives a much higher lead quality off the back end of it, is immensely more. Actually, our media buyer just got your $47 course. I'm excited for him to go through it because we're going to start scaling with YouTube ads very soon. I'm excited. I do want to transition just kind of to the final leg of our conversation here. Every month you do these really, really awesome posts in the Traffic and Funnel group where you just kind of, you talk about kind of your learnings from the month. And these learnings have nothing to do with YouTube ads, right? It's all about leadership. It's all about team building. Something that I want to talk to you about, because I think that people don't understand how painful it is to grow. if you're sitting here and your business isn't doing well, I get it. That's painful too. It's frustrating, but it's very painful when you're going through growth, especially if you've never been through it before and you're a young kid. How do you handle such rapid growth, right? Scaling up to $1 million a month, 35 employees, both mentally and physically. I mean, mentally, I think too, even the limiting beliefs portion of it. Like, how did you even remove that? Just kind of mental roadblock in your head. I guess you're in TF, so you've seen them do it, but like the fact that you're doing $1 million a month off of a coaching and training program is incredible, right? I mean, what a time to be alive, right? But like, how did you deal with that mentally and physically too? Because it's incredibly stressful. Everyone's looking at you, and you've never been through this before. Like, how have you dealt with that kind of uncomfortable, painful experience of growth?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the big thing for me is really, taking that time to reflect and have, higher level thinking where I'm looking at, okay, what am I actually doing, and remembering, okay, what am I doing this for? And what really motivates me. And the things that I love is I get incredibly inspired by our team and by our clients succeeding. I'll even say though, too, I love, the whole thing, but what's been inspiring me even more is just building up the team and just seeing how they're operating. And, I've always, just envisioned. And so, I'm building an office out here in Austin, moved here recently. And so, what I've always envisioned is just this incredible team that's working, to obviously help our clients succeed, to help grow the business, to help, really have that bigger impact. And I think the big thing is I'm always looking, okay, what's the next, where am I going, instead of, taking and looking at, okay, like where I'm at right now. And I think a lot of people will say, okay, that, this is incredible, like go off and, celebrate, or go and party, or buy, fancy car, do whatever it is. What I see is the journey is the reward. And so, and again, it's easy to say that too. And I think the thing is, as well, is I have to remind myself this. So I think that's the important thing, is when anybody's giving advice in this higher level, is to remember that one of the reasons they're giving it is because they had to learn it. You might be watching this and being like, oh, well, maybe I just am constantly seeing the journey as a reward. No, I have to remind myself of that. When I slip out of it, I'm like, if I'm either stressed or, because you have to find that fine line for growth, right? Because you could go on one side where you get stressed, right? You're too stressed. That's not going to be as conducive to growth. And also it's not great for where you're at, because you have to remember that there are so many positive things. You've grown so much. You have to get back to equilibrium. And then on the other side, if you start to think like, oh, I'm so awesome, I've done this or that, you have to remember, no, this is not the end goal. This is not what I'm doing this for. I'm looking, to continue to have an impact, continue to grow. So getting back to that equilibrium, normalizing. Obviously guys at TNF talk about that, really constantly normalizing. And also up-leveling the environment, the people that you're around, the people that you're with, the things that you think about, the people that you mastermind with, the things that you're journaling in your journal every day, the books that you're reading, thinking about, what is that next thing that I'm going for? What are the inputs that I can have? What are the outputs that I can do that are going to help the business succeed?
I love that. Actually, especially part about the journey, it's one of those things where, I was thinking about it and pondering it the other day, because I saw this clip of the late, great Kobe Bryant, where he was giving like his last final speech at his jersey retirement. And he says, he's talking to his two daughters. He says, if there's one thing that I hope you learn from me in my life, my career, is that it's about the journey. Like, you have to enjoy the process. And if you can understand that, then like life will come easy to you. And it's 100% true, especially in this game. Like, it's stressful. There's a million things going on. It's drinking from a fire hose every single day, but being so fortunate and grateful to go through this process and to do something that you love and you care about. And again, like empowering your team and seeing them grow and take parts of the business and make it their own. It's an incredible feeling, man. It really is. And, I've taken a lot of your time today, so I'm going to put a bow on this here. I want to thank you one more time, and this has been amazing. I really appreciate your time. I really mean it when I say that the world needs more ethical entrepreneurs like yourself, especially in this coaching and in consulting and, info marketing space. And I'm glad that especially the younger generation has you as an example. So I appreciate you coming on today, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan. This has been fantastic. I've loved talking about everything, and I completely agree. I think that's, you really want to set everybody, wants to set the example that you want to see in the world, right? It's like remembering, the golden rule, right? Treating people the way that you want to be treated as well. And so that's what I see it. That's what it's all about, is just really helping. And I remind our team all the time, when our clients succeed, we succeed, right? And when, we succeed, then we all individually are succeeding, and we're all individually loving the journey as well. And so really it's like, how can we get everything in alignment? Our clients, our team, and ourselves, and get everybody loving the journey and on that path to that, next milestone, that next place that you want to go. Awesome.
Tell the people how they can find you and how they can hire you.
Absolutely. So you guys can find me at outreach.com, ADOUTREACH, at outreach.com. And so if you want to book a strategy call, if you loved everything here, you can go to atoutreach.com/apply. You can book a call with our team, see if it's a good fit for, YouTube ads and our process. If you're looking just to dive in initially, get that masterclass, I'd say that's the best thing to take a look at. If you're interested in YouTube ads, you want to learn our full strategy, 3 hours long masterclass, at outreach.com/YouTube is going to bring you to that masterclass page. You can find me on Facebook, just look up Aleric Heck. Find me on YouTube, same thing, Aleric Heck or at Outreach. And obviously, if you go to atoutreach.com, you can join our email list and get our emails and updates.